last session on sets. Up till now we have discussed the theory part, the elements of a set, the representation, the two forms in which we represent a set, and then we also discussed the finite and infinite sets, the empty sets, equal sets, set subsets and supersets, and we also understood the method of calculating the number of subsets of a given set. We also discussed power set, universal set, and the complement of a set, which is denoted by a dash or a c. Then we attempted some problems based on this theory, and we also understood how to represent universal set and the complements in form of a Venn diagram. We have also discussed the operations of sets. We now know that the sets can be expressed both the operations can be done both mathematically or using the Venn diagram, diagrammatically. We have also understood how to calculate the Cartesian products of sets, and how to find out the union of sets, how to find out the and how to represent it using the Venn diagram, then how to find out the intersection of set, what it means, and which portion of a Venn diagram shows the intersection, the overlap between the two sets. Here it has been shown by this arrow. We now know that it is showing the intersection of two sets. We have also discussed the difference of sets and how to calculate it and how to show it in the form of a Venn diagram. And we were able to also understand how this important formula is derived, which gives us the relationship between the union and the intersection of two sets. This relationship has been shown here in bold letters, and in the second line, A union B is equal to A plus B minus A intersection B. Now, one more thing that we need to keep in mind, just as we have a formula for two sets and a formula that helps us ascertain the relationship between the union and intersection of two sets, in the same manner, we also have a formula for calculating the union and the intersection of three sets. So in case you have got three different sets, this is the formula that you are going to use. A union B union C will be equal to A plus B plus C minus A intersection B minus B intersection C and minus C intersection A plus A intersection B intersection C. Now, you can understand that this formula is very similar to the earlier formula that we had discussed, and we had understood there that A union B is equal to A plus B minus A intersection B. In the similar fashion here also, instead of A union B on the left hand side, we have A union B union C. But then after that, just like the formula there, we have A plus B plus C. There it was A plus B. Then in that particular formula, there was a term which was subtracted from the sum of A plus B. That term was A intersection B. Likewise here, we will have three such terms will be subtracted from A plus B plus C, and they will all be intersections of two sets taken at a time. So A intersection B, minus B intersection C, and minus C intersection A. But the only difference now is that you also have to add up the intersection of all the sets, A intersection B intersection C, and this is A intersection B intersection C is that portion which is common in all the sets. So this is the formula, and you can try to find out how this formula can be derived. You can attempt this at your home. We have already discussed the method of deriving this particular formula, so you can apply the same formula and you can try and find out this relationship. Now let us try and attempt a few questions, and this will give us an idea about how to actually apply the theoretical knowledge that we have gained in sets to real world problems. Now this is one such question. You can see it has been taken from an NCERT book. Example 24. In a school there are 20 teachers who teach mathematics or physics. Of these, 12 teach mathematics and 4 teach both physics and mathematics. How many teach physics? Now what we have done here is we have tried to solve this question using both the methods that we have. The one is the mathematical method, wherein you simply put the values in the formula and get the answer. On the other hand, we also have the method of using the Venn diagram, wherein you can solve the same question using a Venn diagram. Ideally you should be proficient in both the methods, so in case you go wrong in one particular method, you can always cross check with the other method. However, since in this mathematical method which has been shown here in this particular screen, since you simply have to put in the values from the question, it is relatively simpler to understand and simpler to attempt. So let us try and understand how have we solved this particular question. Now see, in a school there are 20 teachers who teach mathematics or physics. Of these, 12 teach mathematics and 4 teach both physics and mathematics. Now you can understand, 4 teach both physics and mathematics. This is basically a question which deals with two sets. One is a set of teachers who can teach mathematics. The other one is a set of teachers who can teach physics. Now 4 can teach both physics and mathematics. This means basically that this is a portion. This is the number of teachers who can teach both physics and mathematics, or in other words, this is the common area, the overlap between the teachers who teach mathematics and the teachers who teach physics. So wherever you come across this word both, this is basically an indicator that this particular value is basically the value of the intersection of the two sets in question. So basically 4 is equal to physics intersection mathematics. Now this you can straight away find out. Now also you need to understand, whenever you come across this word or, you can see that particular word here in the first line. This is an indicator that basically this is the union of the two sets. So or means union, both, or in place of both, if and has been mentioned, this means intersection. So or means union, and A and D and, or both, 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 they would mean the intersection. So and or both would mean intersection, while or in Hindi we call it ya, athva, that will basically be the value of the union. And that is what has been done here. You can find out the first line you can see here in the solution, M union P. Now what is the meaning of N? N is basically the number of elements in the M union P, which is basically the union of those who teach mathematics and those who teach physics, and the number is equal to 20. On the other hand, if you want to know how many are able to teach mathematics, NM will be equal to 12. M intersection P, again the first line, is equal to 4. This is the number of those teachers who can teach both physics and mathematics. So now we have to determine basically NP, or in other words we have to find out the number of teachers who teach physics. Now you can simply put the values in the formula. You have the formula. Earlier we were discussing the formula in the form of sets A and B. Now we have M and P. So the formula becomes M union P is equal to NM plus NP minus N, M intersection P. Basically N, small n, is referring to the number of elements. So the number of elements in M union P should be equal to number of elements in M plus number of elements in P minus number of elements in M intersection P. Now if you put in the values this is what we will obtain. We will get the answer as 12 and P is equal to 12. Now what you have to bear in your mind is, and I have already mentioned that, you just keep this in your mind that wherever this particular word comes up, both, B-O-T-H, dono, or and, A-N-D, in Hindi, tatha, tatha, evam, if these two words come up, then basically this is referring to the intersection part. And if the word that comes up is or, in Hindi we can call it ya, athva, that is basically referring to the union part. Okay, now let us try and solve this question using the Venn diagram. The same question is there. So first thing that we are going to do is we have to draw the Venn diagrams. For mathematics, I have drawn this particular circle, and then there would be a circle for physics. See, as of now we do not know what will be the area of overlap, how many elements would be there in the overlap, but you don't need to worry about it. You simply mention it. In case there is no overlap, then naturally the value of overlap would come out to be 0. So as of now we'll just depict it using the standard diagram. Now we have got two sets. One is of those who are teaching mathematics, the other one is those who are teaching physics, and there is an overlap between the two sets. That is what we have shown here. Now, first value that we are going to put is of the overlap. Now you can see in the second line the question, 4 teach both physics and mathematics. So basically this both is referring to the intersection or the overlap, and that is why we have put in 4 here. Now, how many teach mathematics? 12 teach mathematics, which means the grayish circle is basically having 12 elements, but out of these 12 elements 4 are already there in the overlap area, which means the remaining number of elements in the gray region only, the gray part of the circle, the number of elements would be 12 minus 4 is equal to 8 in the gray part of the circle. On the other hand, again, we know that the total number of teachers basically is 20. Now which means this figure, which includes the gray part, the overlap part and the blue part, this should add up to 20, because this is what is the total number of teachers in this particular question. So now we know the pure gray part is 8. The overlap, which is an overlap between the gray and blue, is 4. So naturally the remaining part, which is pure blue, should be equal to 20 minus 8 minus 4, and that is basically equal to 8. Now what do we see here? Basically, let us try and interpret this particular figure. You would understand here that the overlap is showing the element 4 number of elements. So the number of elements here is 4. This means there are 4 teachers who can teach. Overlap means intersection. Teachers who can teach both, and I've told you again, intersection, both, they are all basically pointing to each other. So they are basically indicators of each other. So 4 is there in the intersection, which means there are 4 elements in the intersection or the overlap part, or there are 4 teachers who can teach both mathematics and physics. However, how many can teach mathematics? You have to take into account the full circle, which will include the pure gray part on the left, the overlap area in the middle. So this is the total number. The whole circle actually is the total number of teachers who can teach mathematics. 4 can teach both the subjects, and remaining 8 are those who can teach mathematics and they cannot teach anything else. They can only teach mathematics, while 4 can teach both mathematics and physics. So we are now able to understand how many teach only mathematics. They don't teach any other subject. Look at the pure gray figure. You will find out that the value there is 12 minus 4 is equal to 8. So there are only 8 teachers who can teach only mathematics. They do not teach any other subject. But 4 are there who teach mathematics as well as physics, which means overall Number of teachers who can teach mathematics is equal to 12. They can teach mathematics. Out of them, 8 can teach only mathematics. They do not know any other subject, while remaining 4 can teach both mathematics as well as physics. Now likewise, if you shift your attention to the circle on the right, which is the blue circle, the total area that is covered by this circle will include the central part, the part in the middle which is basically the overlap and which is showing 4, and the part which is on your right, which is the pure blue part. And now we can see the overlap again is equal to 4, means both physics and mathematics there would be 4 students who can teach both mathematics and physics. 4 teachers can teach both mathematics and physics, but the remaining 8 on your right side, 20 minus 8 minus 4 is equal to 8, is the number of teachers who can teach only and only physics. So if somebody asks you how many teachers can teach only physics, the answer should be 8. However, if somebody asks you how many can teach physics, the answer would not be 8, the answer would be 12. Only physics means they can teach no other subject. The answer is 8 towards your right. However, physics is different from only physics. Only physics means they can only teach physics, they cannot teach anything else. While physics means they are teaching physics for sure, but they may be teaching other subjects also. So if somebody asks you what is the number of teachers who can teach only physics, the answer would be 8. But what is the number of teachers who can teach physics? The answer would be 12, because 4 are those teachers, is the number of those teachers who can teach physics as well as mathematics. And the total number of elements which has been covered by this particular figure, the 2 circles, basically is equal to 20, which is the total number of teachers. Okay, now can you do another question? Let's attempt one more question. In a survey of 400 students in a school, 100 were listed as taking apple juice, 150 as orange juice, and 75 were listed as taking both apple as well as orange juice. How many students were taking neither apple juice nor orange juice? Can you solve it mathematically? You try to solve it mathematically, you will find out. First thing is 100 were listed as taking apple juice. So this is nothing but, you can call it set A. So A is equal to 100. 150 were taking orange juice, you can call it set O. O is equal to 150, and 75 were listed as taking both. Now both means, I told you earlier, and, yeah, or, both basically means and, or both can also mean the intersection or the overlap part. So 75 is the value of those students who have both apple juice as well as orange juice. So basically this is A intersection O, right? Now you have got 3 values. You have got A is equal to 100, AO is equal to 100, or then after that you have got O is equal to 150, and then you have got A intersection O is equal to 75. You will get the value of A union O. So this can easily be found out. Now let's try and do this question using the Venn diagram. Now please understand, you might find this a little difficult, but then you'll have to work really hard on this. Once you understand the whole concept and are able to grasp the principle behind this, you would find it easy to attempt questions of this type. So now this is a box that we are showing. Why are we showing this particular box? Because there are total 400 students in the school. Basically 400 students in the school. Total number of students in the school is 400. Now how many are going to take apple juice? Again, there is no only word, only has not been mentioned anywhere, so you don't need to worry about that. Which means apple juice, this is the first set. The grey circle on the left is basically number of students who like having the apple juice or who take apple juice, and this is the figure on your right is the number of students who take the orange juice. Now we are not sure whether there is an overlap or not, but this is the standard figure that you are going to draw. Now let us think of what to put first. Can we put the overlap first? Now this overlap basically shows the number of students who can who have listed having both apple juice and orange juice, and this is 75. 75, see the second line, 75 are listed as taking both apple as well as orange juice. So this is 75. Now we would be adopting the same procedure that we adopted the last time. What was the next step? You know the full circle, which is basically denoting the apple juice, the grayish color on the left, the overlap in the middle. So the full circle, basically the value should come out to be 150, because it has been mentioned in the question that 100 were listed as taking apple juice. So this full circle should have the value of 100. Out of this, the overlap portion is already covered 75, which means the remaining or the pure grey area would be equal to 100 minus 75 is equal to 25. Now just to be sure, you can check it. 25 are those students who are having only and only apple juice, while 75 are those who have apple juice but they also have orange juice. So if somebody asks you how many students have only apple juice, the answer would be 25. But how many have apple juice? The answer is 100, because 75 are having both apple juice as well as orange juice. To check it, you add 25 and 75, you will find out the value of the whole circle, which will include the left part, which is pure grey, and the middle part, which is the overlap, and this value comes out to be 25 plus 75 is equal to 100. And we can cross check it from the question. The first line tells you that 100 were listed as taking apple juice. So yes, we are depicting the same value on the diagram. Now let us talk about the remaining portion. Now you know already in the question it has been given that 150 students are taking orange juice. Out of them, 75 fall in the overlap area. We have mentioned that there are 75 students in the overlap area. So naturally the remaining number of students in the pure blue area to your right would be 150 minus 75 equal to 75. How to check it? Add up the overlap and the pure blue area. Overlap represents those students who have both apple juice and orange juice, and the pure blue area represents those students who only have orange juice. When you add up these two values, 75 plus 75 is equal to 150, you will get the number of students who have orange juice, and that number is 150. We can cross check it from the question. So 150 is the number of students who have both orange juice. Out of them, 75 falling in the overlap area, they have both orange juice and apple juice, but the 75 who are falling in the pure blue area, they only and only have orange juice. So there's a difference between only orange juice and orange juice. Orange juice means having orange juice for sure, but they may be having other things also. And only orange juice means they are only having one particular juice, and that is the orange juice. So we can now cross check it. Now you can understand that we have put in all the values. Now you can find out the number of people who have apple juice, or athwa, or orange juice, which means people who have either only apple juice or both apple and orange juice, or only orange juice. So that will be A union B for us. Only apple juice is the pure grey area. The value is 25, and this particular grey area on the left of your screen. Then the overlap in the middle of the screen, 75 is the value. This basically denotes those students who are having both apple juice as well as orange juice. And then 75 in the pure blue area on your right, this basically depicts those students who have only one drink, and that is orange juice. Is this okay? So now, what is the number of people who have either apple juice or orange juice, or both of them? So either apple juice only, 25. Apple juice only is 25, having both is equal to 75, and then having only orange juice again is equal to 75. So now this whole figure adds up to 75 plus 75 plus 25, or 25 plus 75 plus 75, and this value comes out to be around 1 175. Now this 175 is the value which is denoted by the two sets which have been shown here, the two figures, these overlapping circles. But then what about the empty space outside the circles but inside the box? Remember that there were 400 students in the school, and we as of now only have information about basically only 25 plus 75 plus 75 students, that is 175 students, which means the remaining area which lies outside the two circles but inside the box will be equal to, since the overall box, the total value of the box is equal to 400 and the area covered by the two overlapping circles is equal to 175, the remaining space outside the circle but inside the box will be equal to 400 minus 25 plus 75 plus 75, which is basically the area covered by the two circles, and that is why the value would come out to be 225. Now have a look at the notation which has been shown here, bottom right of your screen, AJ union OJ and then in the bracket dash. What does this mean? This means union of those who have apple juice and or, so it's a union of those who have apple juice or have orange juice. This union would include people who have only apple juice, both apple juice and orange juice, and only orange juice. Now the intersection means we would not include these people who are part of AJ union OJ. The number here was 175. They were part of both. They were part of basically apple juice union orange juice. The complement is the area inside the box but outside the circle, and that will be 400, since the overall box value is 400. So 400 minus whatever is there in the circles, or minus 175, and it comes out to be 225, and that is why this is called the complement of apple juice union orange juice. These questions are not very difficult. You can always go for the mathematical approach to solving these kind of questions. It's not necessary at all to also understand and mention the diagrammatic solution, but then if you are well versed with the diagrammatic solution also, then it is only going to help you perform better and help you attempt and help you accurately answer more number of questions. And that is why I have also taken this particular thing up, but I understand that you might be having queries, so you are free to address those queries to me and I would be more than happy to respond to those queries. Now for homework, you have to solve these 4 questions, but while solving these 4 questions you have to solve them using the mathematical formula that we have, but it would be better if you can also solve these questions using the Venn diagram, because this only is going to help you retain the concept of sets for a longer period of time. So these are the questions that you'll have to solve, and very soon we'll be having a test, so please be prepared for the test. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed this particular session, and these 4 or 5 questions that I have shown you, you can always go beyond these questions. In fact, you should go beyond these questions, and at least 10, 15, 20 questions you should attempt of different types, so that you are well versed with the concept of sets and how they are applied in real world problem solving. Thank you very much for